Okay, we allowing people in, Darren.
Hi, everyone, to those who are joining the webinar today. Thanks so much for being involved in Red and Yellow's latest brand webinar. We'll be very excited to have you here. I see there are quite a few participants joining the link at the moment. We're going to give everyone just 1 or 2 more minutes to hop on before we get started, and we'll go through introductions and some few house rules for this next session.
I'll be back in a second.
Cool. For those of you who have just joined, welcome to Red and Yellow's latest webinar. We are very, very privileged today to have Darren Morris, who's the CEO of Lucky Hustle, a really, really exciting agency who's going to tell us more about the future of the ad industry in the age of AI. It's a really, really exciting presentation. But before we get started, just 1 or 2 house rules for this session. Feel free to use the chat function at the bottom. We're not going to be using microphones to answer any questions. So if you have any comments on the presentation, throw them in the chat. But if you do have any questions that you'd like answers to at the end of the session, please put those into the Q&A at the bottom of your screen, not into the chat. Right, we're going to give it maybe another 30 seconds before we get started. I see there's quite a few people on the call at the moment. For those of you who don't know, my name is Nick, and I'm the head of content here at Red and Yellow. And again, we're just very, very excited to have you here today for this session hosted by Darren. So we'll give it 1 more minute, and then I'm going to hand over to Darren to kick us off. Just 1 more reminder, if you do have any questions you'd like answered, put them into the Q&A. And if you have any chats or if you'd like to interact, you can put that into the chat. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Darren. Let's take it away.
Sweet. Can you hear me?
100%, yeah.
Awesome. Hi, everybody. Firstly, before I introduce myself, I'm actually at home today. I'm pretty sick. So please just excuse any like coughs and sneezes and, you know, spewing of sneezes onto the camera. My apologies in advance. And if some swear words pop out too, I do apologize. I do get quite passionate in these things. But I'm Darren Morris. I am the CEO of Lucky Hustle. We are a creative content agency, really kind of specializing in digital and data. And I am involved in a few other projects as well, which I'll touch on in a separate session. But what I'm going to talk to you guys about today is the future of our industry. I also cannot see who's on the call. I cannot see any questions. I cannot see any chat bars. So if there is something pressing, Nick, just give me a shout out and I'll address it. All right. You can still hear me, hey, Nick?
You're all good, Darren. You can take it away.
Awesome. Let's rock and roll. All right, guys. So one day I noticed a trend happening in the industry, and it's a trend that all of you are very familiar with, especially like those kind of peeps that are on LinkedIn. Now, I usually kind of check in on LinkedIn every single morning, kind of see what's happening in the scene. And one day, like, I literally started noticing everybody's talking about AI, and people are starting to change their like job descriptions to like expert in AI analysis, and agencies are starting to change from agency to like AI agency. And I was like, what the hell is going on? Because, yeah, you kind of heard the term before, and then ChatGPT came about, and now all of a sudden everybody's talking about this, and not only in marketing, but like across various industries. So with that being said, like I was like, holy crap, I've got to get on this train. I'm a CEO of an advertising agency, and I need to know as much about this kind of stuff as possible. So I went on LinkedIn and I looked at all the companies who were saying, we are specialists in this and that. And obviously I've been in the industry a couple of years. So I started phoning some mates who are, who have pretty senior positions in these other either agencies or brands. And I was like, what are you doing? What's the secret? What's the vibe? And everybody, and I mean everybody kind of gave me the same answer, that things are kind of same. The process hasn't changed. Things are kind of running the way that they are, and they didn't even know what was going on, even though they are sharing and reposting all this AI kind of stuff. And it got me like thinking, that everyone all of a sudden is a specialist in this AI buzzword, but actually no one really that, or very few actually know what's really going on, or actually using all of these tools to the best of their capabilities. What I noticed very quickly is all this buzzword around AI, especially from agencies to clients, is very much a, don't fire us. We're up to date. We know what's going on in the industry. Like, we're building the plane while we're flying it. They're just not saying it. Everyone is trying to pretend they're on board with this to keep clients and show innovation, but not really everyone is understanding it. And there's a lot of anxiety based on the people that I've spoken to around AI and what's going on, and how to jump on this bandwagon quite quickly. And it's okay. For now, it's okay. It's not too late to jump on. It's not like, cryptocurrency or Bitcoin where, if you want to join now, like you missed the big surge. It's really the right time to kind of say, okay, cool. Maybe, I'm not so familiar. Maybe I know a few buzzwords that I throw around myself. I've used ChatGPT once or twice, but it's not too late to actually like take it a step back, become a noob again, and really dive quite deeply in. And that's exactly what we did at Lucky Hustle. We kind of, took it on the chin and said, we don't know anything about this stuff. Aside from a few tools in ChatGPT, we really want to become masters of this. So all of us at Lucky Hustle literally went back to like noob intern level and said, we're going to learn the stuff from scratch and become, relatively good in it. And we did exactly that. And we got on board with it. We started presenting to each other, and we really had fun with the process. And what we've noticed now that we're bringing it into our work is that it's saving our clients so much time and so much money. And before I go any further around like going into the tools and how they work and what's happening out there, I want to talk about what's actually going on in our industry right now. Now, rumor has it that AI is taking your jobs. We're going to go into this world of robots, and, there's going to be 1 million of tents down, Cape Town and Joburg highways and people begging for jobs. And it's not going to be like that, hopefully. But we are light years away from any robots taking our jobs. But there are tools, as you guys know, that are going to make things very differently. Tools like, Midjourney, ChatGPT, Google I/O, Astra, Gemini, etc. I'm sure you guys have heard a lot of these names bobbing around the internet or the water cooler. And what's cool, and it's not a new thing either, but as we progress in this industry of marketing and advertising, ads are becoming way more and more intelligent, really kind of separating the weak from the strong. Back in the day when we were in this industry, there was a lot of smoke and mirrors. especially like around radio and TV. And sorry for any of you who come from a radio and TV background, but it is what it is. You know, there was a lot of smoke and mirrors and people kind of putting a piece of creative or a script together and then entering in lorries and, you know, winning these Grand Prix. And then everybody kind of sitting on the other side of the fence going like, no, I get it. It's a great piece of work, but I've never seen this ad in my life. You know, I've never seen this campaign in my life. And now we're at a space where we are, you know, day by day separating the weak from the strong, in that it's not so much about the actual execution of the ad, but really about the results that the ad brings. Now, where we are right now is anyone can make an ad. Design is not as impressive as it was 5 years ago. Unfortunately, people like me who are absolutely cuck at writing articles and mails, I'm terrible. My grammar is like borderline, same level as potato. Like, I don't need a copywriter to help me with absolutely everything anymore. I can literally put it into some AI tools and, you know, I sound like a proper English professor. And what's even cooler is that tools can now read your mails. And, you know, gone are the days of those inboxes and you know who you are, who've got like 11,900 unread mails and you can just never keep up. You know, we've got tools now that literally can summarize all of this for you, that if you do end up missing a day like me who's sick, I can get a summary of what's actually gone on for the day and what mails are the most urgent, what I need to respond to. Even if there's a whole trail, I can actually kind of summarize that, because my worst thing is those mails that go and people know, like, you've been on leave or something. Hey, Darren, please see the 26 mail thread and give me your thoughts. And it's like, fuck, dude, now I've got to read from the bottom up and now figure out what's going on and then give my so-called opinion. Or even worse, please see the 2-hour recording of the meeting you missed. Now that's my worst, because obviously I missed that 2-hour recording because I'm busy. Now you want me to now watch it, you know, at night or early in the morning and now still give you my opinion. And that's why AI is here to solve all of these problems. So the entire marketing environment has changed, and it's actually just the beginning. We're seeing less and less search via Google. For the last 10 years now, maybe, whatever, have owned the world of advertising and the world of search and the world of marketing. Things are changing. They still are the biggest search engine, but you know, apps like TikTok are slowly closing the gap when it comes to search. Influencer marketing is growing at lightning speeds because of that. Even in some fields like engineering, in the last 2 years, the industry has grown at 10 times the pace it has ever before. And people, now this pisses me off. People who can't use Photoshop Premiere Pro are getting more views with their creative and edits than seasoned vets. And it's like, we went and did all of the groundwork, and then you're getting all of these little content creators, they're pumping out videos and they're getting engagement like we've never seen or we've never heard of. As much as I hate it, it's brilliant. People who can't code are now building apps, sites, and programs. What's quite interesting as a business owner is I don't need an accountant anymore to do all of my accounts. I don't always need a lawyer to draft a legal letter for me. I don't always need designers to do the designs I need done, and I don't need copywriters anymore to keep me from looking doff, and that's a true story. But will I still need these skills? Absolutely. We'll absolutely need these skills. So if this is one of you, if you are sitting there behind your screen going, shit, you know, what's this guy talking about? I absolutely hate him. He's telling me I've got no future. That's not what I'm telling you. You absolutely need these skills, but we just need to learn how to apply these skills and thinking in a different way, which we're going to go into in a second. Basically, the AI shift has moved faster, and this is a fact. Go and Google it right now. It's moved faster than any shift in the history of mankind, and the crazy thing is it hasn't even started yet. So it isn't a fad or a phase, it's actually the future. And if you're in this industry, it's something that you should take very, very seriously. But to adjust our careers to it, we first need to understand why it exists. And that's the purpose of this whole webinar, is to kind of say, you know, before we go and dive in and go into these tools like, you know, future tools and pick out the AI tool for me and let's all become experts in ChatGPT and Midjourney and all of these things, we need to know why we're doing it. Because a lot of us are just motoring on through. Shit, I need to catch up. I need to catch up. But no one actually understands the purpose and the core of AI and what it actually does for us. So I'm going to ask you guys, I think the red and yellow team have created a cool little poll Does anybody know what the purpose, or can anyone guess what the purpose and the need of AI is? And I promise you, it's simpler than you think. What is the purpose and the need of AI? Why was it created? Why is it evolving at the way that it does? Does anyone know? Sure, look at these answers go. Oh, look at you, eh? Star students, keep them coming. I can't see any of the answers, by the way. I don't know if you're going to reveal them, Nick. Nick?
Yeah, we've got some more answers coming in. We're going to close it in the next 20 seconds or so, and then they should pop up.
Awesome. Keep them coming. And I'm sure like a lot of you are going to get this right. It really isn't rocket science. All right, let's see the results. Da, 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 da. Any results? I see 64 people have answered. I don't see any answers. But it's fine. I'll tell you guys the answer anyway. And if you got it right, props to you. Go buy yourself some lunch on me. Okay. Can I close this thingy?
Yeah,
so,
let's close.
Cool. So the answer, and if you got it right, give yourself a pat on the back. The answer is quite simple. It's really to save people time and money. And if you are sitting there behind your screen going, oh man, that's so like cheesy level, like, oh, you know, top line answer. It really actually isn't. Because yes, it's, you know, AI's got purpose, you know, and we can really go into it deeply, but the reason it evolves so quickly and why we're taking it up so quickly in what we do on a day-to-day is to save people time and money. And we're going to go into this topic quite in depth. And if you can understand this psychology around saving people time and money in marketing, in advertising, and in business, I promise you, you're going to have a very, very, very good career ahead. I think a bank once said it a while back. I don't know if it was Standard Bank or something. It was their slogan was saving people time, saving people money, putting you first. And I don't even think they knew what they were onto there. But literally, you know, that sentiment, if something can save you time, that means, you know, more time to do the things you love. You know, in a world that's so crazy and fast paced, and sometimes we forget we have weekends, and sometimes we forget we have families and loved ones, and, you know, we're always on our WhatsApp groups, and we're always on calls, and we're always on emails. And if something can literally shift into, you know, our existence and say, you know, I'll give you more time to spend with those people doing the things you love, then we adapt to it naturally. And money's the obvious one. So let's take a look at this concept that I just mentioned and go a little bit back in time for a second. For all of you who are still tuning me, probably behind the screen going, he's talking absolute bullshit. He's making up these words. He doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm going to try and show you for a second that this whole saving time, saving money thing is actually a thing. Now, not so long ago, to find a number, we, as in me as well, used to open and scroll through a phone book. You remember those days where literally that's what it was. I need to find a number of a plumber or a friend or something. I'll open a phone book. And if it was business related, like people literally had to lick their finger and go through those yellow pages. That was just life. That's how it was. You know, we were cool with it. There wasn't, you know, there wasn't any problem with it. And then, you know, the world changed. Now, I don't think anybody on this call hopefully has used the yellow pages in the last 15 years. We had to pre-plan a trip with a map book and hope for dear life we were accurate. Now, this was, I don't know how this was legal, because you'd be driving like on a road trip with your parents, and your mom or your dad would open this fucking massive map, you know, that's almost the size of the windshield, and they're trying to figure out what off-ramp to get off. And you're sitting there in the back of the car, like praying for dear life that you're not going to die. And that was just the thing, you know, people had map books in cars. Now we got GPS, and I don't think anybody has ever looked at a map book again in the last 20 years. To do research, we had to go to a library and actually do the research ourselves. I never did any of that. And that's why I did so badly at school. But for those of you who used to do research, you had to go and sit in a library for days after school and on the weekend. Now, you can do it on your phone while, lying in bed in the morning. If you didn't have a car, you had to go catch public taxi or wait for a bus. And yes, this is still the case. But the point I'm trying to make is, Uber changed the game completely. And now it's just a norm. You had to actually go into shops to buy things and get groceries. Like, for all our little Gen Zs, this is like, whoa. So AI is here to help us with all the mundane stuff that we don't want to do. And as I go through these examples, just go back to that sentiment of saving you time and saving you money, because time is the most precious thing on this planet. And if we can have more time to do what we love and less time on admin, naturally, we should be living better lives. But people are still damn scared of change until they don't have a choice. And this is people like me, like you guys on the call. And some of you might say, no, I'm not scared of change. Like, bring it on. That's why I'm on this call. I want to learn about this shit. But, unfortunately, we do get caught up in those bubbles. And I'm going to show you exactly now. And I mean, you can put your hand up in the background if this is you, because a lot of these are me or were me, except for this one. I'm not that old, but we used to ride horses, and then cars came like big scary robots, and now everyone has one. And this is a thing, like back in the day at some, medieval braai, Henry Ford was chilling there, and he went to his mates, and they were all like cooking on that thing that they did hundreds of years ago, or whenever, or you know what I mean, with cars. And they're busy cooking their meat. And then Henry, this cool guy, comes to the braai, and he's like, Oaks, I've solved it. Sell your horses. See there at the back? I've invented this massive steel cage. I've filled it with petrol. We're all going to get in, and we're going to cruise at the speed of a horse for like 50 kilometers. And they're like, Henry, are you sick, bro? Are you mental? Like, this is a death trap. But I guarantee you, no one on this call arrived at work on a horse today. And if you did, you're very cool. Even in war, like the samurai warrior used to literally go through the battlefield and decapitate people, and the ultimate figure of the alpha male, until some oak rocked up one day on the battlefield and he was like, how's it? And changed the game of war forever. We used to only consume the radio, and then came TV, and so many people said, I'll never own one. Now no one owns a radio. Now you know who you are. You know who you are for this one. This is very much myself. We all had a BlackBerry and BBM and said, I'll never get an iPhone. I love the buttons. I don't know what this whole thing about a full screen is. And again, I don't know who, honestly, hands up if you're still rocking a BlackBerry. It's like, I haven't seen one in years. Who said this? My business will never need a website. TikTok is for kids. I'll never buy online. It's too dodge. And a big mistake that I made in my life is I won't invest in crypto. It's fake money. Now, all of these things, going back, as humans, we all were against, the whole BlackBerry thing. My business will not need a website. I don't buy online. It's dangerous. But when we look at all of these examples, they really are, like, we giggle at them behind the scenes because they're things of the past. And since then, which is not so long ago, like people were saying TikTok is only for kids not so long ago. And now it's, the biggest thing since the internet. So what I'm trying to tell you is we've all proven to ourselves as a society, as humans, I won't until I do. And it's not a bad thing. I mean, look at when CDs turned into MP3s and the world roared. I remember that stage where like the band Metallica was suing Napster. And it was such a thing. Like if you had some MP3s on your computer, like, there were those goody two-shoes who were like, yeah, the FBI is coming to get you because there's these things called piracy laws. Now no one's got a CD. Everyone's got MP3s, and everyone's forgotten that. I even actually remember, going back, like if you wanted to watch a movie, there would be a guy at every robot with like a blue packet, and he did this dodgy, like, And then you'd go, you'd walk, you'd pull over, and he'd almost come into your window like he's going to sell you drugs or something. And he'd pull out like 6 movie titles of DVDs, like all, you know, it would be like the DVD within like this crappy printed flap. And kind of that was your way to get movies, to avoid like spending money at video stores. And again, you know, all of that a thing of the past. We even in the like the industry that I'm in now, it's quite industry, because with all of the stuff said, with all of these points I'm trying to prove, I still get clients that say, Darren, no, we don't want AI generated images or voices or videos. And it baffles me, but I do understand it, because I understand that you are trying to support humans, and you're worried about the piracy laws around this, and it's not real humans, and do humans connect with this? Exactly like, we were thinking in those previous examples that I gave when things started changing. But what I want to tell you is you're actually holding yourself back from innovation that is happening or that is going to happen, as I showed you, by not, jumping on board with all of the stuff for your brands and for your clients. If we look, for example, at stock imagery for a second, now I can give you numbers. I can give you multiple cases and clients that I won't name and shame, but a lot of them will, like I said, will tell me nothing AI. We must get stock. We must get stock imagery. And again, using something like stock imagery. Now let's go to money and time. If we're going to money and time, like stock imagery, it takes a while to go through and to find the image. And, especially if we're in South Africa, the stock libraries are very, very European. They're not representative of, real South Africans. And it's a ball ache trying to find stock images. And what actually happens is you'll often see brands using, like, especially like the banks, you'll see FNB, Standard Bank, and they're using the exact same stock image because it's all that they have that was to represent South Africa, or that perfect product, and everybody's using the same thing. So waste of time, it's a waste of money. Now we can just generate those images in seconds. I did something for a brand maybe about 2 weeks ago, a bed brand, and we couldn't find, because at first the conversation was about let's use stock, let's use what exists, and we couldn't find the exact image of like a salesman by a bed with the exact linen colors that were the colors of that brand. So we convinced them, let's use AI, let's show you what we can do. And within minutes, we had an entire solve for the entire project that we created, and they were shocked. Voiceovers as well. If you are in the, if you come from the background like I do on the creative side, either client or agency, you'll know from a voiceover point of view, like what the process was is that the script would come in, then the producer needs to phone the account manager, and the account manager needs to set up a time with the client, and the client needs to let you know when they're free, and then the producer's got to find out when the voiceover is free, and then everybody's kind of got to pack into that little studio, and we all bring muffins, and everybody's kind of oohing and eyeing, and the voiceover guy records, and we do all of those changes, and everybody's in this one room, and then everybody dispatches, and it takes like 2 weeks for this whole process to happen. Now, literally with voiceovers, I can do it in minutes. We're using a tool called 11 Labs, where we can actually replicate what voiceover artists are saying now to recreate their voice. And I did this, and I actually had a voiceover that was doing stuff for me, but she's seldomly available. And I urgently needed to like change a word around for a client script. So I took her voice and I put it into this tool, and I actually, with AI, generated her voice as a voiceover, and I just manually put in what I want, and it worked. Is it the right thing to do? I don't know. I'm still going to use it in the future, and sue me if you hate me, but that's where we're at, like it or not. Sometimes, my wife always says to me, if you want to piss me off, tell me the truth. And I think that's the sentiment of this. It's like we're in a space now where it's like, this is the truth, unfortunately, whether you like it or not. These things are happening, same as CDs and MP3s. But bottom line, if you can save your money and time, it is going to go in that direction. And this is a sentiment that, not just for advertising and business, I mean, advertising and marketing, but in business or life in general, if you're thinking like this, you're going to go a long way. So with all of this waffle that I'm giving you, what are our careers going to look like in the future, like in the near future? Should we be scared? Should we not be scared? What's the vibe? So the lowest paid jobs in society are the jobs that anyone can do. Fact. So we need to evolve. And you'll need to have a skill that not anyone can do. Now, this is science. It comes down to supply and demand. I don't need to call out any jobs, but obviously the very, very low paying jobs are the jobs that require someone to do something that almost anybody can do. And then as you get those higher paying jobs, that's the more specialist fields. Now, because we're getting tools to do a lot of these jobs, you kind of see where this is going. So people really kind of need to adapt their current skills to put themselves in positions where they're not going to be mundane down the line. And this involves things like, and it's going to bring new roles like prompt careers. Creative directors need to almost twist their thinking to become creation directors, generative specialists. So we're still going to need things like copy, design, editing. All of that stuff is still key. Like, please, if you're in those industries, do not freak out. You are still going to be key. But if you want to make a lot of money in the future, make sure that you understand what's going on now and adapt to it. Learn as many tools as you can, because one day down the line, if you're not ever evolving, that's where you're going to slip into the above statement. And what sucks a lot, this pisses me off. It's sad, but it is the truth, and it also excites me in a way, is that the wow will become less and less. Gone are the days of like, here's my TV ad, and then everyone on LinkedIn oohs and ahs over it. I mean, that still happens. Or you present to a client, a beautiful video or a beautiful design, and they're like, whoa, this is sick. Everyone clap and standing ovation. That's becoming less and less. It already is. And fair enough. People are not going to care so much what something looks like. And it is going to be more around what produces results and what grabs attention in the kind of clutter of advertising that we're at. And not to say, there's not a need for amazing work. But if you can figure out a way to do amazing work, but do it in a way that focuses around data and results and grabbing attention, that's the work that's going to sell. Because for years and years and years, like I mentioned earlier, it's all about, lurries and all this yay and great and amazing. But again, I've had many clients who are like, dude, you're winning these golds and silvers and all of these things, but my sales results are the same. And that's where things are going to change, because we can now target and see and basically, like I said earlier, separate the weak from the strong when it comes to doing a proper advertising job. Much less focus on the actual idea and the execution, and more on the storytelling and the process and the consumer journey and the ROI. And if you are a designer or a creative or a copywriter or an editor or whatever, this is where your mind should be kind of thinking is, yes, you can still be a master of your craft, but if you're going head to head with AI, it's going to beat you. It's going to be faster than you. It's probably going to get more stuff out than you. Not even probably, it will. And it will probably generate better stuff than you can do, or that might take you a week to do. So don't go head to head with it. Rather start thinking about how you can use it as a tool in your toolbox to create storytelling, process, consumer journey, etc. It's like, it's like having a toolbox. Doesn't matter if, I have a toolbox with a hammer and a screwdriver, or I have access to a whole hardware store. It's like if I don't, I can, like me right now, if I go into a hardware store, I'm absolutely useless. But if I learn how to use all of the tools in the hardware store, I can build a house. But that's not my field. If I go there now, I'll be absolutely useless. And that's what I'm trying to get to you guys, is that you want to be able to go into your advertising AI hardware store and be able to build your house when it comes to your career. What's very cool is that there's going to be no more assumptions. And this is the biggest thing that, Lucky Hustle really thrives on, is that we're an ad agency that doesn't base ourselves on assumption. Assumption meaning you present something to a client and they go, I don't like this. And then, it's a tough conversation to say, but why? But why don't you like this? No, it doesn't align to this, or I just don't like it, or I feel the target market is wrong. Well, that's all bullshit, Mr. Person. Like, that's all your assumption. And, if we start, using the tools that we have currently, it's not going to be about assumptions anymore. It's actually going to be facts about what works, what doesn't work, and why. We will no longer just hope for the best. Machine learning will predict behavior to test our skills, things like heat maps, eye tracking, etc. Things that exist, but are still only in the beginning stages. Content will still be king, but creating it takes time and costs a lot of money. And business and humans will evolve around this. Lots of people are about to make a lot of money, and sadly the opposite too. But human expertise will always be needed, like I said, but in different ways. Vetting, tweaking, prompting, actual human relationships, picking up errors, all led by understanding the data that AI provides us. Now, TV, as we know it, will disappear, as it already has, always about to. Radio ads will become programmatic. Billboards will become programmatic. Design ads, as they have, will all become programmatic. You don't know what programmatic is, go and look it up. It's something that you should know. And if you want to have a separate conversation about it, just email me. Actually, one of our sister companies called Narrative at Lucky Hustle, we're actually building programmatic tools that are beating Google in their results. So if you are in the media side of things and you want to explore how you can smash your results on programmatic, you can pop me a mail and I'll sort you out on that side as well. But it's predicted that by 2028, 81% of advertising globally will also be bought programmatically. So if you can figure out the simple formula for branding, business, advertising that saves consumers time and money, you essentially win. It always goes back to, will it save me time? Will it save me money? Now, with all this crap and waffle that I've given you, what is my actual advice to you? Because I've gone all over the place here. So what I want you to do, and I know that 99% of you won't do it, so that's fine. But for that 1% that's listening and paying attention and scribbling notes behind the scenes, set a goal to do 24 hours of true research. And what I mean by true research is, doesn't matter what you've done to date, whether you're an expert or you're a complete noob, I want you guys to challenge yourself to this. Give yourself 24 hours of true research. And I'm not talking about like, okay, cool, like I watched a bit of a video and I read a bit of an article. Like, I'm talking about like, track yourselves by the minute and keep a logbook and see at the end, when you get to an actual honest 24 hours, where you are. Now, with that being said, we know that, like, we know all the time that we waste on social, and try and swap that time to get in your hours to start learning the stuff. Stop scrolling on mundane crap and take a couple of minutes a day while making, a little poo, just to research this stuff. Don't just read the headlines, read the articles, watch the videos till the end. That's my problem. I'll watch a video and I'll watch half of it. But I'll read a headline and then I'll think, and I won't click the link. If you actually just kind of get into this, you can get these 24 hours. Because I did the challenge myself, and from where I started versus 24 hours later, I was ahead of like 98% of the people that I've spoken to this about. Don't just download the apps. Learn them, play with the tools. Subscribe to them, even if it costs you a bit of money. Subscribe to them, learn them, start doing all of the things that you're reading about. Because if we don't, we're going to become like our grandparents. When computers and phones came out and everyone was like, no, this is not for me, or it's a fad, and I still love the good old typewriter. And then, they all irritated us, trying to get us to teach them how to use it, and they still don't know. And just to have like a Zoom or a Skype call with our grandparents is like absolute hell. We don't want to be those people. If you can become an expert now and understand how to use the tools and do the things you don't want to do and figure out the human element, if you can understand not how to create an idea and execute, but understand And if you're not focusing, focus right now. If you can understand, how can I get someone's attention cleverly to sell a product, you're going to be successful in this new change. Now, with that said, I'm going to show you a few examples of the coolness that is exciting me at the moment. Now, I can talk to you for days about, different products and different things that are out there and what tools you can use. And if you are looking for a starting point, there's a cool website. I think it's called futuretools.something, where literally, if you're a complete noob like I was, you go into this website and it starts asking you questions like, are you a designer, a copywriter, accountant, PA? And then it will start, based on those questions, start suggesting tools for you to start. That's called Future Tools. I'll put it in the chat afterwards. It's a good starting point, but where we were since where we are has evolved tremendously. And this is a tool I'm going to show you called Sora. Now, Sora is a video generation tool. And when I say video generation, I don't want you to think, popping a message into Meta AI and saying, show a picture of me with a cat head eating a chicken, on the Titanic. That's kind of the start of it, but I'm going to show you where we're at now. And, as I go through this, I want you to just kind of think how animators and editors and directors, how all of their roles are going to change. So this is Sora. It was supposed to be launched in August. I think it's through OpenAI. But I think they're delayed till about for a few months. But anyway, when this tool comes out, again, it's going to be like the game changer, the new Chat GPT. So these are just some prompts that have gone into Sora that I'm gonna show for you. Hopefully it doesn't lag. But I want you to look at the detail of these prompts versus the content that is coming back within minutes or seconds. So this is a litter of golden retriever puppies playing in their snow. Their heads pop in and out of the snow. Let's see them. And that's within minutes. Very cute. Now, if we go to something a little bit more detailed, I want to generate a drone view of waves crashing against rugged cliffs along Bulser Gary's Point Beach, the crashing blue waters, blah, blah, blah. Show me all the things. A view that captures the raw beauty of the coast and the rugged landscape of the Pacific Coastal Highway. Boom, put it into Sora. What does it give you? It gives you something like this. Here's one of my favorites, a movie. Now, even when you start getting creative, a movie trailer featuring the adventures of a 30-year-old spaceman wearing a red wool knitted motorcycle helmet, blue sky, salt desert cinematic style, shot on a 35mm film with vivid colors, not just normal colors, vivid colors. And all of this stuff is literally going to be at the fingertips of everyone by the end of the year. A photorealistic close-up video of two pirate ships battling each other as they sail inside a cup of coffee. Ooh. I'll show you. I'll skip to my favorite one, which is somewhere here. A beautiful homemade video. Now, homemade video. So you can even tell you how that video should look in terms of how it's shot. A beautiful homemade video showing the people of Lagos, Nigeria, in the year 2056, shot with a mobile phone camera. And within seconds, you can have something like this. Like, this is all generated. These are not real people. So, with that being said, and to kind of go to the end of my waffle, I want you, this is a saying that changed my life. Now, back in the day when I wanted to do anything, gym is a perfect example. I'd feel motivated, or I'd go to a talk like this and I'd leave the talk and I'd feel motivated, or I'd read what's that author, The Power of Now, or a book like that, and I'd feel motivated, and that motivation would only last like a week or two, and then my life would go back to the way it was, and I never ever hit any of my goals. I want you to walk away from here and just understand the difference between motivation and discipline. Again, if you're not concentrating, that's fine. Stop your mails behind the scenes and WhatsApping and all your groups, and just focus on this for now, because this actually, as airy-fairy as it sounds, changed my life. So motivation comes from the natural drive to achieve something. Motivation doesn't last forever, no matter how much you want something. It's a temporary effect created by the brain to boost you in the right direction. And when you leave this webinar or whatever you're going to go do next, if something I said did inspire you to take some sort of action, then I don't want you to leave here motivated. I want you to leave here disciplined. And discipline is the ability to continue and kind of push in the right direction when you no longer have the motivation to do that. Discipline is far more important than motivation, and you should never rely on motivation only. And discipline is the power to get those 24 hours, to do a little bit each day, to become a master and an expert at something. Because at the end of the day, it's your career. You want to be rich. And yeah, this is a starting point to it. So that's pretty much the end of my waffle. If you want to get in contact with me, follow us on Instagram, lucky_hustle, or you can just pop me a mail, darren@luckyhustle.co.za. Do all the things, like and subscribe, as all the YouTubers tune. But yeah, thank you for your time. I hope you got something out of that. I hope it wasn't a waste of your time. And that's me. Shot.
Cool. Thank you so much, Darren. It was a super insightful session. And yeah, we're grateful for all the examples you took us through. I think what really stood out is the advice you've given everyone here today. Like, number one, like, set a tangible goal to do proper research for 24 hours. Stop just scrolling through TikTok, and don't just sort of skim over everything. I think it's crucial for everyone who is working in the creative industry, from graphic design to copy to creative direction to anything, is to sit and figure out what AI can do for your career or for your business. I think it's super overwhelming to think, I'm not using all 98 tools that are available. So thanks so much for just letting us know that there's something that we can do today, this evening, straight after work, to really get going. We've got a few questions in the chat, which I'm going to get to in 1 second. We've got a question from Lebo, who's asking, I think this is from early on in your presentation, what AI tools do you use for your data analytics and for your reporting?
So it's quite interesting. For data analytics and reporting, we still use normal dashboards. But what we do, Lebo, is we use a tool called Moving Walls. If you haven't heard of Moving Walls, basically what it does is it takes all of the the data and the feedback that all these analytics tools kind of give you, and kind of summarizes it, and actually summarizes the insights, and puts together the almost like suggestions for what you should do to optimize your campaigns going forward. So if that answers your question, that's what we currently use, but we still are very much big fans of just using a dashboard as it stands at the moment. What we'll normally find is that 99% of the clients don't read those dashboards, but for those that do, Moving Walls is your key.
And then on that note, another question from Anonymous, who's asking, what are your amazing email and meeting summary AI tools?
So it's Google I/O. A lot of it hasn't been released yet. A lot of it's currently being released. But if you want all of these amazing summary tools, literally go and subscribe to Google I/O, with the whole host of suites that it has within it. That is going to be a game changer in terms of your admin future.
Well, Edward's got quite a tricky question, seeing as things are moving so fast. Edward asks, are there no regulations in place for advertising, in advertising, that regulate AI?
So good question. Now, to be honest with you, I don't know the full answer to this, because I think it's still something that us as an industry are trying to figure out. Like, when it comes to regulations and stuff, there was Elon Musk currently is in cuck because he I think he tweeted something, or he X'd something about Kamala Harris, who's now taken over Biden. But it was a deep fake video. So that video, you know, if you don't understand AI, or if it's someone from an older generation or something, they might think that that video and her talking and saying the things that she said is absolutely real. And at the moment, there's no regulations to stop that. There are people kind of trying to put laws together. And I see when it comes to like Facebook and Instagram, you know, they do have tools now where if you know, like back in the day where you had a paid partnership with a brand, you know, you actually had to say paid partnership, and you actually still do. If I do a paid partnership with Coca-Cola, for example, and now they've got a tool now where if your content is generated or is using AI, you actually have to specify it. So I don't know the regulations that are in place or that are happening behind the scenes, but it is a massive, massive talking point because, you know, what these AI tools are doing is there's a term called website scraping. And basically what they do is they go through the website, you know, and almost like copy paste everything, you know, from all the information that ChatGPT produces to you know, all the stuff that they generate video from. And a lot of the time, you know, when they're generating video, especially when they go into like YouTube to do it, because they are using YouTube to generate this video content, you'll have content creators like Mr. Beast, for example, that are all over the internet. And you'll start, you know, if you put like, you know, white guy doing something or whatever, like a lot of the cases have started to see like content that starts to look like Mr. Beast, you know, and he obviously never gave any rights to do that. Kamala Harris never gave any permission for Elon Musk to post her deepfake stuff. So yeah, it's an excellent question, and I'm very curious to see how all of this stuff pans out from a legal point of view.
Well, Sipe, I hope that's answered your question. Very similar question along the lines of AI companies source data to build their engines many times over. It's been proven that they take data without consent, so ethically, is it actually cool to use it? I think that's been covered in Darren's last answer. Another question from Anonymous. Could you give us a list of your top 10 AI tools?
Cool. So I'd say for music generation, there's a tool called Suno that we use. It's quite cool, like if you're looking for backing tracks and stuff like that. Voiceovers, I mentioned earlier, 11 Labs. Copy, ChatGPT, to be honest. I feel you can't beat it at the moment. Video generation, it's probably going to be Sora that I showed you, but Sora is, when it comes out, it's going to be very expensive. It's going to be more something that you kind of have to go to your boss and say, can we subscribe to this, more than subscribing in your personal capacity. But there are tools now for video generation that are amazing. We use a lot of something called Runway, which is a really cool tool. But there's also something at the moment called Kling with a K. That is amazing to use in terms of video generation and stuff like that. And then yeah, for data and analytics and that kind of stuff, I'd say Moving Walls. But to be honest with you guys, it's like, it very much is a personal preference. It's not like the tools that I'm telling you now to use are the tools that you must use. Like I mentioned, go to a website called Future Tools. I think it's futuretools.ai. And that will kind of lead you into what tools you should be using. And again, it's like using a phone. You know, you're a Samsung user or an iPhone user, or you use Huawei. You know, at the end of the day, these debates can go on forever because it really comes down to personal preference. But that's kind of what we're using in our agency at the moment.
We've got time, I think, for 2 or 3 more questions. Just a reminder to put your questions to the Q&A section, not into the chat, so we can read them. Another question from Anonymous. What AI tool can I use for radio jingles?
Yeah, I think Suno might be able to help you. But you know, disclaimer on that. Yeah, I'd say start there. Start at Suno if you want me to answer that quickly.
Cool. That seems to be all the questions for now. We've got one more coming in from Marsha, who's asking, would you say that Google Ads are a thing of the past?
No, I don't think they're a thing of the past. It's actually a great question. I don't think it's a thing of the past. I think Google Ads are going to evolve into a space where they are extremely hyper targeted. For example, now you have like Google Discovery at the moment where, even on YouTube, where you can almost like input 5 thumbnails and 5 pieces of copy and 5 pictures, and then it almost A/B tests those results for you. It's going to become a lot more detailed in the sense of like how Google Ads serve content in terms of like image and video and copy generation. But I think Google is going to adapt to that quite quickly. Like I mentioned earlier, we are building a tool through another company of ours called Narrative, which actually is, it's available now. It's a programmatic tool that answers all of these things, and when we compete with it head to head with Google Ads, flight the same ads to the same people, because this is using like very advanced AI mechanics behind the scenes. We're seeing like crazy much higher results, because we're obviously implementing the thinking that I just spoke about. But I do think Google is not far behind. It is quite cool to say that we are maybe for now a little bit ahead of Google, but Google, I'm sure, is not far behind. So yeah, if you are a fan of Google Ads, just stick to it. But yeah, just kind of keep learning on all the updates that it's giving you, because the hyper targeting is going to become absolutely ridiculous. You're talking about thousands of images and layers of copy behind the scenes, even things like voiceovers in different languages to really give the ultimate ad to the ultimate person.
Awesome. We've got just 2 more questions here. One from Esme. What are the usage regulations on A1?
AI.
AI or A1? I'm assuming AI here.
Hello, Esme. So in terms of usage regulations, this is where it does get tricky, because again, when it goes to the whole legal side of things, again, I'm not too sure. In that voiceover that I had to replicate, for example, or people taking other people's faces and putting it on content. Like I can go right now and make an ad, a chocolate ad, with Urban Etzebeth selling a chocolate brand that I might be working on. I think what's happening now, and again, I think disclaimer, because the whole legal side of things is a different specialty. But I think what's happening is that people are putting parameters in their contract from their managers that do stipulate you can use them in AI to a degree. But to be honest, I'm not an expert on that side of the fence. So yeah, I mean, if you want to pop me a mail, I can try and find out the answer for you, because I am looking for those answers myself.
Yeah, I think we can agree that technology moves really fast, and then things like legal and regulations definitely takes its time to keep up. So over the next few months or few years, I think we'll see what comes out of that discussion. Last question that we have from Mark, who's asking, would you be interested in setting up a Lucky Hustle in London?
Mark, yeah, let's do it. No, to be honest with you, Mark, I think we've actually got quite a few clients in London. Please pop me an email, Mark. It's darren@luckyhustle.co.za, because we've actually got representation in London. We've got a few clients there, but we are looking down the line to open up physical offices in Cape Town, London, USA, I think Ireland. But London is definitely a good starting point. So Mark, if you're keen to go on the journey, then I'm absolutely keen. I'm always ready. So pop me a mail. I'm keen to hear from you, Mark.
Oh, and on that note, we've reached the end of the session. I want to say thank you so much to everyone who's joined us today, and a very special thanks to Darren for taking us through a super, super eye-opening and engaging session. So thanks for joining us today, Darren.
Sweet. Thanks, guys. Love you all. Thank you.
Cool. And if you guys want to check out redandYellow.co.za, you'll see that we do have a series of online short courses, or nano courses rather, in AI for designers, for copywriters, management insights. So have a look at our website if you are curious to see what we've developed in terms of really taking on AI as a tool for creatives. You'll find all the information you need over there. And also look out for an email from us over the next day or two, which will have your presentation as well as links to some more resources.
Love it.
Great.
And thanks to you, by the way. Thank you for everything, and the team at Red and Yellow. You guys are amazing at what you do.
Amazing. Thanks, Darren. Anytime.
Cool.
Cool. Thanks for joining, everyone.
Sweet, guys. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.